You and I, we share African ancestry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah, I'm 1.6%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I have more. I have more credential than you in that department.
You're 2%, right?
Yeah, I know. And it's funny because you sort of have the story in your family, kind of like where you came from, and everything made sense. And I always knew I was 25%, Italian, and I knew that my family came from Sicily. In fact, the Ranellas that came from Sicily all seem to become kind of established in the produce world. My dad was brought up in the south side of Chicago. I'm 44 years old, okay? So think about that for a minute. My dad was brought up in the south side of Chicago, and he was raised by his grandfather, who was Sicilian and had come from Sicily. His grandfather delivered produce with a horse and cart.
Whoa.
In Chicago. So to have lived through that, like to be brought up in a house where a guy like leaves in the morning in a horse and cart to deliver produce, and then to be alive, like to fight in World War II, to be through the atomic era, the advent of the internet, right? But I always knew that we had Sicilians. When I did the genetic test, at some point in time, one of those Sicilians must have shot southward and crossed the Mediterranean and like had a hookup down there or something.
Well, that was the history of Sicily in the first place.
Yeah.
Sicily, just being Sicilian in the first place, there were so many people that were impregnated by the Moors and by various people of West Africa and North Africa.
Yeah. I should have probably like always assumed, but I hadn't thought about it. Another thing I was reading about this stuff, and you might know more about it than I do, is that when you do those tests, there's missing parts. It captures what's there, but there could be a lot there that's not captured. Just in the way that chromosomes are, inherited and passed down. Like it's an incomplete picture. Right. There could be influences. There could be it doesn't create a full picture of your lineage. There could be lineages that are there that aren't represented in your particular makeup.
How so? Like, what do you mean?
I hate to right off the bat get into something that I can't speak about with any level of expertise. I was just reading a piece, and the piece I was reading had to do, it was kind of a dissection of like what happened with Elizabeth Warren, what she claimed.
We've been going off about that on the podcast, and I'm like 100 times more African than she is Native American.
Yeah, well, that's what I found. I'm 10 times more or whatever. But it was a piece about it was a piece in the Times explaining like how to make sense of, now that everyone's doing these tests, like how to think about and make sense of these tests. But my understanding of it is that you could have a lot of ancestry that just isn't captured in your genetic code in a way that would be detected through the testing. Meaning there could be ancestors that because you're inheriting you're inheriting chromosomes from each parent. And somehow it could be an incomplete picture. You could have ancestors that had come from other, whatever these tests break out the world into 100 or some odd regions or zones, that there could be people from those zones who are in your lineage that are not captured in your that are not captured in your genetic code.
That's so bizarre. You would think it'd all be in there. Is that just an incomplete measuring tool? Is that what it is? Or is it just actually not in there? I
don't know. You're going to have a dude on.
Yeah,
I'll listen. You need to have a dude on that understands it. And as I say, I feel like I'm off on a bad start here, man.
How much Neanderthal did it say you had?
Less than normal.
Really?
Less than average.
What was the number? Like it said, it gives you did 23andMe, right?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. I just remember it was less than average. And and those things like are refined by how many people do them, Mm-hmm. But it was less than average, which bummed me out. But I'm like as hairy as like a 13-year-old like Norwegian girl, you know what I mean? So that didn't surprise me.
Not shocking.
Didn't surprise me too much.